$4,200,000. That's the wire confirmation. It hits your account on a Tuesday morning at 9:17 a.m. You're 26 years old. You are sitting in the same desk chair you've had since college. The fabric is peeling on the left armrest. You look at the number. You look away. You look at it again. It hasn't moved. $4.2 million. Yours. Right now. Today. You don't scream. You don't cry. You just sit there in silence. And the first thought you have is not about what you'll buy. The first thought is, I don't know what to do with this. That thought matters more than the money. But you don't know that yet. This is the story of what happens when the money arrives before you're ready for it. Not before you deserve it. Before you are prepared for it. Those are two completely different things. And almost nobody talks about the gap between them. The gap. That's what this is really about. You didn't steal it. You didn't win the lottery. You built something. A software product, a small company, or an equity stake in something that got acquired. You worked for 4 years on something that most people told you was a waste of time. And then one morning, it wasn't. The wire hit, and suddenly you had more money than your parents will earn in their combined lifetimes. And the thing nobody warned you about is this. The money arrives in your bank account, but it doesn't arrive in your brain at the same speed. Your net worth is $4,200,000. Your psychology is still stuck at $47,000 a year. You call your parents. They are proud. You call your 2 closest friends. One of them goes quiet for a second too long. You notice it. You file it away. You don't say anything about it yet. The money changes your bank balance overnight, but it starts changing your relationships just as quickly. The first thing you buy is reasonable. A new laptop, $2,800. You've been using the same one for 3 years, and the battery dies if it's not plugged in. That's fine. That's sensible. You feel good about that decision. The second thing you buy is a car, $94,000. You tell yourself it's an investment. You tell yourself you earned it. Both of those statements are technically true and completely wrong at the same time. The first rule. Wealth is not a number. It's a behavior. The number in your account tells you what you have. What you do in the next 90 days tells you whether you get to keep any of it. You move into an apartment that costs $6,800 a month. It has floor-to-ceiling windows and a doorman, and a gym you use only a handful of times. You buy furniture that arrives in pieces and takes 3 days to assemble. You buy art you don't understand, but that looks expensive. You buy a watch, then another watch. You start to feel, for the first time in your adult life, like the outside of your life matches the inside of your ambition. But here's what's actually happening. You are building a cost structure that requires you to keep being wealthy. You're not building wealth. You're building a lifestyle that consumes wealth. Quietly, every month, like a slow leak you can't hear. And the danger of a slow leak is that you usually don't notice it until far more has disappeared than you ever expected. Your monthly burn rate is now $23,000, not including taxes, not including the accountant you still haven't hired, not including the financial advisor that 3 people have told you to call and you keep putting it off because you feel like you should be able to figure this out yourself. You're smart. You built a company. How hard can money management really be? This is the most dangerous sentence a newly rich person can say. The second rule: the people who need financial advice the most are the ones most likely to believe they don't need it. Intelligence in one area can create a false confidence that spills over into every other area, especially when it comes to money. Your net worth is still $4,200,000 on paper, but you've spent $380,000 in 7 months. On what, exactly, you cannot fully account for. You try to make the list. You get to $210,000 and stop. The rest is just a blur. Dinners, bottles, a weekend in Miami, tickets to things, gifts for people you're not even sure you like. The friends have changed. Not all of them, but enough of them have. There are new people now. People who appeared after the money. People who seem to know about the money even though you didn't tell them. People who have ideas, opportunities, deals. A cousin of a friend who has a restaurant concept that just needs a small investment to get off the ground. A guy from your gym who flips properties. An old college acquaintance who resurfaces with a crypto play that supposedly can't lose. You say no to the restaurant. You say no to the properties. You say yes to the crypto play. $180,000 because the guy seemed smart and the charts looked convincing, and you didn't want to seem like the kind of person who is too cautious now that you have money. You didn't want the money to change you. What you don't realize is that refusing to change can be just as dangerous as changing too much. It goes to zero in 11 weeks. You are not broke. You still have over $3 million, but something shifts in you the day you watch $180,000 disappear. Not anger, shame. The specific shame of knowing that you made a decision based on social pressure rather than logic. That you were afraid of looking stingy, so you handed money to a stranger. The shift. You stop trying to prove the money didn't change you and start accepting that it already did. The question now is whether it changes you in a direction you choose or a direction that happens to you. You are 27. Your net worth is $3,100,000. You finally call the financial advisor. He asks you a question in the first meeting that stops you cold. He says, "What is this money for?" Not, "What do you want to buy?" What is it for? What is the actual purpose of this capital in your life? You don't have an answer. You've never thought about it that way. You've thought about money as a reward, as proof, as permission, but not as a tool with a specific purpose. You sit with that question for 2 weeks. The third rule: money without purpose is just pressure with a decimal point. Until you decide what the money is meant to accomplish, every decision you make with it will be reactive. And reactive decisions with large sums of money are almost always costly. The absence of a plan doesn't create freedom. It creates uncertainty disguised as flexibility. You start reading, not articles, books. You find a study from the National Bureau of Economic Research that follows professional athletes. The numbers are sobering. Within 12 years of retiring from professional football, roughly 16 out of every 100 players have filed for bankruptcy. Not because they were reckless, because they were human. Because they had no framework for what to do when the money arrived faster than the wisdom needed to manage it. You find the story of Allen Iverson, one of the greatest basketball players of his generation. He earned $154 million in salary alone across his career. By 2012, he told a Georgia judge he was flat broke. He couldn't pay an $860,000 jewelry debt. The entourage, the gambling, the gifts, the lifestyle that started as celebration and became obligation. You find the story of Jack Whitaker, a West Virginia businessman who won a $315 million Powerball jackpot in 2002. Within a few years, his fortune was gone, his family fractured, his personal life in ruins. He told reporters that he wished he had torn the ticket up. Not because the money was bad, because it arrived before he had any structure to support it. The details of the stories are different, but the underlying pattern is remarkably similar. These are not cautionary tales about bad people. They are cautionary tales about a specific timing problem. The money outran the person. That's the whole story. Every time. Your net worth is $3,100,000. You are 27. You make 3 decisions. The first decision: you move into a place that costs $3,200 a month, half of what you were paying. You tell people you're downsizing because you travel too much to justify the space. That's not the real reason. The real reason is that you realized you were paying $6,800 a month to feel like a person you hadn't actually become yet. You were renting the appearance of an identity instead of building one. The second decision: you put $2 million into a diversified index portfolio and you do not touch it. Not for a year. You treat it like it doesn't exist. You are not allowed to check it more than once a week. This is harder than it sounds. You check it twice on the first day and then close the app. The third decision: you stop taking meetings with people who have ideas. For 6 months, you avoid pitches, opportunities, and deals. You tell people you're focused. You're not focused on anything specific. You are simply stopping the constant drain. The shift begins quietly. You stop thinking about money as something to deploy and start thinking about money as something to protect. Not forever, just for now. Just until you have the judgment to match the capital. You are 28. Your net worth is $3,400,000. The portfolio grew while you weren't watching. You spent that year building a second business. This one is smaller and leaner. No external funding, no pitch deck, no vision statement. Just a service that charges for something people already want to pay for. For the first time, stability feels more rewarding than attention. It makes $14,000 a month by month 9. It's not glamorous. Nobody is writing articles about it. But it is real, and it is yours, and it doesn't need the $3,400,000 to survive. That distinction matters more than any number in your account. The fourth rule: the objective is never to have money. The goal is to not need it. The moment your lifestyle can sustain itself without touching your capital, the capital stops being a pressure and starts being a foundation. That's a completely different psychological experience of wealth. You are 31. Your net worth is $5,100,000. The portfolio compounded quietly for 3 years. The second business was acquired for $1,900,000. You didn't celebrate loudly this time. You called your parents. You went to dinner with the 2 friends who were there before the first wire hit. You split the bill. Nobody made a thing of it. Something has changed in you that you can't fully name. You don't check your account the way you used to. Not because you don't care, but because the number has stopped being the point. The number is just a record of decisions you've already made. What interests you now is the next decision. You notice that the people around you who have always had money behave differently than the people who got it fast. Old money is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. It has already proven what it is. That quiet confidence is something you slowly begin to understand for yourself. New money, fast money, talks. It needs to be seen. It needs to be confirmed by other people's reactions. Because without that external confirmation, the person holding it isn't sure it's real. You were that person. For 2 years, you were that person. The fifth rule. The way you treat money in the first year after getting it tells you more about your relationship with your own identity than it tells you about your financial intelligence. Most of what looks like financial behavior is actually psychological behavior hidden behind a dollar sign. You are 34. Your net worth is $7,800,000. You haven't thought about the number in weeks. You are building a third project. You are mentoring a 24-year-old who just sold her first app for $600,000. She calls you because someone gave her your name. She is talking fast. She's already talking about what she's going to buy. You listen. You don't interrupt. You wait until she pauses. And in that pause, you recognize the same uncertainty you once felt yourself. Then you ask her the question the financial advisor asked you 8 years ago. You ask her, "What is this money for?" She goes quiet. It is the same quiet you once had. The same pause you had when you realized you had never thought about it that way. You don't tell her what to do. You just let the question sit there. Because the question itself is worth more than any answer you could give her. Because the moment she starts thinking about the purpose of the money, she has already made the most important financial decision of her life. The sixth rule. The fastest way to lose money you got fast is to let the money define you before you define the money. The people who keep sudden wealth are not the ones who are smarter or luckier. They are the ones who figured out what the money was for before the money figured out what to do with them. You are 34. Your net worth, $7,800,000. You still have the desk chair from college. Not because you can't afford a new one, but because it sits in the corner of your home office, and sometimes, when you're working late, you look at it and remember the Tuesday morning when the wire hit and you sat very still and thought, "I don't know what to do with this." That thought saved you, not the money. Somewhere right now, there is a 26-year-old staring at a wire confirmation they weren't expecting. The number is large. The fabric on their chair is peeling. Their first thought is not about what they'll buy. Their first thought is, "I don't know what to do with this." The gap between who they are and who the money assumes they are is real. It is wide. And the next 90 days will do more to determine the rest of their financial life than the previous 4 years of work ever could have. The money doesn't wait. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It simply arrives. And the gap opens.